What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Daily Grind. Sorry, my voice is a little choppy today. I'm your host, Chum Change. This is live and recorded. Mr. Heinz Crypto is in the chat. What's up, buddy? We have Geek of All Trades, Leo Lusting, Yoba, Galaxy Synthesis. What's up, buddy? We have Retro Mike, Big Black. How you doing, buddy? Duke Nukem. I never read the rest of your name, Big Black. It's just, it sounds a little off, you know? Max Voltage. What's up, buddy? Mining Meister, Sloth Squash, Old Man Crypto. Did I say Leo Lusting already? What's up, buddy? Automatic Beats, Game with Smoky Dan, Dom G. Appreciate all of you guys, the Pirate, all you members. You're awesome. And I think, who was it? Somebody thanked somebody else for a membership yesterday, and I appreciate it. You guys didn't have to donate, but I think it was the Pirate that donated 5 memberships. So thank you to him. All right, let's see how the market's looking today, and then we'll get into the Simpsons episode. All right, BTC 27,952. Not too bad. Not too bad overall. ETH still right around 1,800. It's kind of surprising. Has not moved at all. Well, a little bit up and down, but things are pretty much steady, which is awesome. All right, bear with me today, guys. My throat is like, these kids are getting me sick now. It's terrible. Terrible. Anyways, this is the top 10 top 100 coins that are most profitable on the day over at Crypto Bubbles. As you guys can see, let me full screen that. Caspis says up 3.1%. So this is daily. So I don't know if it's 24 hours or if it starts like at 12 and goes like, you know, the actual calendar day. I'm not sure how this works, but we'll check it out over in a second. Fear and Greed Index is at 63. Top 10 coins, you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, USD Coin, XRP, Cardano, Lido, Staked Ether, Dogecoin, and Polygon. Now let's just click 24 hours. I want to see. All right, looks like Caspa is up 4.3% in the last 24 hours. Last 7 days, 83.1%. Crazy. It's in 85th place. This was over 100 a couple days ago. So now it's in the top 100 coins, and it's moving up. It's moving up fast. That's crazy. Damn. All right, let's see what else. So I mean, there's been quite a bit that's been up. I don't know if Frax is. It's only 0.1%. Uniswap 0.5%. Rocket Pool. What else? Tron 1.5. Oh, let me do that. And what's this one? Hedera? Is that how you say that? I don't even know. Never heard of it. Anybody heard of this? 7 cents, this coin? Never heard of it. Up 6.7%. Tea with honey. If I like tea. Coffee's my thing, man. But I appreciate it. I'll have to have some cough drops after this. Anyways, looking over real quick before we get into the videos of today. Again, I will link everything in the description below that we watched today. This over here is hashrate.no or .no. I don't know how you guys want to say it, but I like .no. It just sounds better. Now, everything NVIDIA wise, almost, at least the 30 series, is all profitable on Nexa. The A4000 is Dynex. Most profitable on the 6900 XT's Caspa. So the AMD's profiting on Caspa. Then we have actually, you know what? The 20 series was actually more profitable on Caspa yesterday as well, but they're taking over Nexa. Interesting. Looks like we're drawing a line in the sand. Who's AMD? Who's NVIDIA? Interesting. It's crazy though. It's crazy these two coins didn't exist in 2021, and now look at them. Most profitable on GPU mining. Interesting. All right, let's get to the juicy stuff. This is a video from Altcoin Daily. As you can see, it says kill Bitcoin. Elizabeth Warren literally hates Bitcoin. She hates cryptocurrency, doesn't want anything to do with it. And I get it, right? It's their job to be concerned about like the world's state, right? Economic state. But they're going like crazy. And if they don't get on board, man, they're gonna be left behind. So is what it is. If you guys have any questions while we're watching this, please feel free to add me in the chat or leave it in the comments after the fact. But let's see what Altcoin Daily has to say over here. Well, I didn't mean to play it yet. And we'll go from there. So again, any questions, feel free to ask. Let's do it.
If I buy Bitcoin, am I buying a share of stock, or am I buying a pork belly, or am I buying euros? What am I buying?
Are you buying air?
U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren is waging a full-on war against Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. This is not hyperbole. This is what she tweeted just today.
Yeah, it's
Elizabeth
legit.
Warren is building an anti-crypto army. See, you might know Senator Elizabeth Warren for focusing on other things. Maybe you know her because she's been largely in favor of holding banks and Wall Street accountable for their actions, and that's okay.
And there were a lot of progressives who really wanted to rein in Wall Street. But I was the one who got in there. I did the hard work. I dug in. I took on Wall Street. I took on the big banks.
Maybe you know her from her back and forth feuds with
they
former
hate each
President
other.
Donald Trump.
This is another case of Donald Trump just trying to advance the interests of Donald Trump, not of the rest of the nation.
She of the great tribal heritage. What tribe is it? Let me think about that one.
What you might not have realized
he's such a
is that
dick
killing
sometimes. It's funny.
Bitcoin and crypto is on her list of things to do. Not just regulating crypto, killing it.
How you want to regulate that world and how you want to build regulation, like I said, depends on what you're trying to accomplish here. I think that world should be largely cut off.
Oh my God. That world should be largely cut off. Listen to that.
I think that world should be largely cut off.
Lady, listen. Listen, lady. You're gonna ruin my life, all right? Bitcoin already did that once. Just kidding. But this is terrible.
But not everyone agrees with that.
Why does Elizabeth Warren
Grace
want
said she's
to
a
kill
stooge.
crypto? Maybe it's because she's planning to run for U.S. president.
You're right, Lawrence. This is a part of why I'm running for president.
Oh, wait, hold on. Someone said something over her. What was
It's a
that?
part of why I'm running for
She later complained that she misspoke. She knows she's not going to be elected.
president.
That's great.
And she knows that the powers that be expect certain things from her.
Let's do a central bank digital currency.
Warren understands that if she's to become president, she
Nobody.
must be in favor
Nobody's
of
gonna vote.
CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. And it seems
All right, so how do you guys feel about CBDCs, actually? That's a good... I'm going to put that poll in the chat. I want to know what you guys think about them.
like she's not just for
Are you against them or are you for them? I'm going to say, I guess, in the chat.
them, she's giddy for them.
So a lot that banks do wrong, if you think we could improve that in a digital world, the answer is sure you could. But in that case, let's do a central bank digital currency.
Are you there?
Oh, for a central bank digital currency? Yes. I think it's time.
She loves CBDCs because governments control it, because banks back it.
We could be talking about, instead of Bitcoin, we could be talking about digital currency because that's a government-backed electronic transfer. And it can be denominated in dollars, it could be denominated in euros, but that has something that backs it up. It has a government that says, if at the end of the day there's a run on this stuff, everybody wants theirs out, the United States government promises there will be something to back it up. And that's what banks are about. There'll be somebody there to back it up.
So why doesn't Elizabeth Warren like crypto? What's her problem with it? It opens the doors to...
There's another part of the crypto world that says, no, we like it, that nobody can tell who came on this system and what they're using this system for. They would describe it as getting away of the prying eyes of the government. But another way to say that is, opening up the door to the money launderers, to the human traffickers.
That is such a bullshit argument.
To the tax cheats.
Do you think they don't do that with the U.S. dollar? Like, really?
Countries that
God.
are trying to evade sanctions. And so how you want to regulate that world and how you want to build regulation, like I said, depends on what you're trying to accomplish here. I think that world should be largely cut off from the cheats and from the money launderers. But not everyone agrees with that.
She wants to kill it. Here Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren create fear, uncertainty, doubt, doom and gloom. What happens if everybody just decides to sell their Bitcoin one day?
Do you think the digital space is so big that it could create a credit default swap-like impact on our economy if suddenly a whole bunch of holders of Bitcoin decided, maybe this is air?
Yeah.
Senator Warren says it's air. Maybe it is. I'm out.
And as soon as enough people start saying, I'm out, I mean, look, this has worked. The whole digital world has worked very much like a bubble works. And that is, it keeps going up based on what? Based on additional production? No, based on the fact that it has demonstrated that it solved all these other problems and it is now being used exponentially in areas where it hadn't been used before. Not really. What is it moved up on? It's moved up on the fact that people all tell each other that it's going to be great. Just again, like it was on that real estate market. How many times did people say real estate always goes up? It never goes down. They said it decades ago, before the last real estate bubble. They said it in the 2000s, before the crash in 2008.
Wait till real estate meets climate change. That's a whole
there we
separate,
go.
yeah.
That's a whole separate
Yeah,
thing.
conversation,
That's
yeah.
right. But that is the ultimate risk, because there's no government to back it up. There's no commodity to back it up, whether it's gold or wheat or anything else. There's nothing at the end of the day except confidence.
The old man crypto in the chat just said, if it's so bad, why does the U.S. government own 214,000 Bitcoin? And RD says, get rid of this lady already. This is ridiculous. She's just spitting bullshit.
That it's going
So
to go
stupid.
up, and if people lose that confidence,
I mean, I get, yeah, the housing market comes down and stuff, but overall, realistically, the housing market just increases in value over time. Yeah, it's going to have its ups and downs, you know, but overall, like, I mean, kids these days, good luck trying to buy a house. It's going to be awful.
then it's gone.
I believe, what is the shorthand for confidence game? Sorry. Which is, and you know, I do.
I hadn't thought about that
Yeah,
point.
no,
but
I
yes.
do remind people the words confidence gets shortened a
Is
lot.
this guy trying to
That's
flatter her
right.
right now? Is that
That's
what's
right.
happening?
Con comes
happening?
in.
I mean, real estate, although it fluctuates like any asset, that's a good idea, Elizabeth. I like this next question that Chuck Schumer asks her. What if you're wrong? What if you don't know everything about everything? What if you're wrong about Bitcoin? I don't like her answer, though.
Have you looked at this and said, what if I'm wrong? What if they're right? And how could you be wrong?
We are right.
I'm trying. And I say this, and I'm not saying you are. But
Okay, so let's do.
Let's say this is
Russia.
yeah. Okay.
Let's do right now. We know, for example, that Iran and North Korea use cryptocurrencies to evade financial sanctions.
Not a lot, though. It turned out to be. It is a smaller amount chunk than folks thought. We hope.
But they are using them to
Yeah.
evade financial sanctions, right?
Oh, and I forgot the like drug dealer down the street doesn't use the U.S. dollar to, you know what I mean, sell drugs and buy drugs and all that.
Right?
Stupid argument.
We also know that Russia is involved in about 3/4 of all the ransomware payoffs going on around the country. So in other words, the Russians are very sophisticated
No shit. They're in the middle of a goddamn war. What the hell? Oh my God.
on dealing with crypto. They clearly have demonstrated
anything
they're
they
willing
can
to
right
engage
now.
in the illegal portion of
Right?
the spectrum, and that countries can use crypto not totally to substitute for sanctions or totally evade them, but to create a hole in the bucket, right? A little opportunity to move money around. We also know, by the way, that the Bank of Russia has now authorized banks to deal in crypto because they're shut out of the banking system. So we see all of those things. My response is to say, along with several other senators, including the head of the Foreign Relations Committee, the head of the Intelligence Committee, the head of Senate Armed Services, to say, let's give Treasury the tools to say that any of the crypto exchanges that are not following knowing their customers and blocking evasion of sanctions can't do business in the United States. Just give them the tool for that. And the response of the crypto company, some of them, crypto advocates, have said, we don't need that. You're wrong. It's not a problem. To which my response is,
Then
if you are right, then you shouldn't mind
it,
that
right.
we put some regulations in place. If crypto is really not being used by human traffickers and
Oh my God.
money launderers,
That is the
and-
dumbest argument on the planet. All right, listen. Anybody that's new here or whatever. if you don't understand crypto, you can pretty much track down anything, right? In crypto on the blockchain. If you gave Joe Schmo $50 for a bag of weed, right? And then he goes and spends it on a hooker, nobody is going to be able to, make the connection with that dollar. They don't know where it's been. Like, it makes no sense. That makes no sense, lady. None.
Drug traders and tax cheats, you shouldn't mind that these exchanges have to do know your customer and make sure that on the front end and the back end, as the money comes into the crypto exchange and leaves the crypto exchange, that it's not being used in those ways.
By the way, if there's any question in your mind that Elizabeth Warren, and the mainstream media for that matter, have a very surface level understanding of Bitcoin and crypto, listen to this next clip. They talk about Bitcoin and Dogecoin like it's the same thing.
So pump and dumps are illegal on the U.S. stock market.
How do you stop a Dogecoin? Dogecoin is like this whole, the whole idea.
Oh, yeah, that guy was saying Dogecoin. Is that how you're actually supposed to say it? We all just call it Doge.
The dog coin, right?
That's right.
Watch it, and it was, to me, it's like, boy, they really exposed a big flaw in Bitcoin.
I see it this way. I actually don't think that one exposes a big flaw. It says, guys, this is what you said it is. It is, I made this up and I'm having great fun with it, and people then get engaged and they have confidence in it, so they bid up the value.
So Elizabeth Warren, it's kind of a mixed bag in some ways, because on the one hand, she has made a name for herself, at least seemingly holding Wall Street's feet to the fire. On the other hand, she's also very anti-crypto. Now, crypto wants to hold Wall Street and the traditional financial system their feet to the fire. The enemy of your enemy is your friend. Not in this case. And her rhetoric, her anti-crypto army and rhetoric is only going to become stronger as we get closer to the U.S. presidential election. Guys, engage with this video. Send this video to your dad. Get this information out there. And make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're one of the only YouTube channels that covers cryptocurrency like this. Pivoting away from Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, God. This is like, I saw this actually. I heard him talking about this. I want to hear what he has to say about it. Let me know if you guys have heard about whatever this is. This like NFT game BS. Or it's metaverse stuff, I think. I don't know. Let's listen to it.
Interesting project in the crypto space. I'd like to highlight a rather promising GameFi project today.
Synverse. That's what it's called? I feel like it's going to be a GTA thing.
Called Synverse, with the token name Syn.
Looks like GTA.
Synverse
kinda.
is the first
Oh my God.
R-rated Mafia metaverse, and they're sponsoring today's video. This is...
Oh, God. Actually, I don't want to show this because they paid him money. And I feel like it's going to be a shit show.
already in its alpha stage and is now beginning its play and
there's
earn
so much
economy.
stuff involved.
It looks like Grand Theft Auto on the blockchain. And it could be one of the big
I'm gonna lower his voice, but yeah, the metaverse stuff, man. There's so much stuff that goes into it. Like there's like straight buildings where you got to put like electrical behind the sheetrock, plumbing, actual trade work behind everything. It's crazy. All right, I'm not gonna let him shill this on the channel, but shout out to Altcoin Daily for being amazing. Obviously that video, it's kind of scary. They're trying to kill crypto, and I get it. I mean, it makes sense. I put a poll in the chat, and I said, if you wanted to buy something illegal, would you use crypto, cash, or just see results? Right? 83% is so far. 36 votes say you'd use cash, which, I mean, that's how it always was, right? And now knowing that crypto can be traced, right, on the blockchain, why would you ever use that for illegal activity? It doesn't make any sense. At least in my opinion, that kind of limits the I guess probability that you're going to do something wrong, right? Illegal. I don't know. It just makes no sense to me. Anyways, all right. My throat's a little rough today, so I'm going to just continue to go with another video. This is Coin Bureau, actually, and he talks about Gary Gensler over here on this one. So I kind of want to see what he has to say. I'm gonna speed up his voice actually because he talks a bit slow. Put it on 125. If we need to go faster, we will. But anyways, let's get to it. I'm gonna kill that poll in a few minutes. I'll start another one. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. All right.
Is on. Probably. The Securities and Exchange Commission is gearing up to take on Coinbase in the next never-ending lawsuit that will have profound consequences for all of crypto. As the markets...
Ooh, Carl Broker actually brought up a good point. He said, whatever happened with Tornado Cash? Isn't that considered a problem for some groups of people? So yeah, so Tornado Cash was one of the ways to kind of clean up the money, right? Essentially, you're taking dirty money, throwing it in the wash machine, mixing it up, and then sending it out, right? So people can't trace it. Or it was like way harder to trace. I think they got in trouble. I'm not entirely sure. I have to look into that more, actually. So I'll write that down right now while we're watching this. And maybe we'll bring that up later. But we're going to be going over the best deals on ASICs later on today. I got to update that whole Google Doc. And then we're going to find out where we could buy the cheapest ASICs this afternoon. So stay tuned for that. But I will, I'll look into that Tornado Cash thing for either Saturday morning or we'll do it on Monday. All right, let's get into it.
Swallowed last week's Fed rate hike like a cement-seasoned hand grenade, the SEC served up dessert by issuing Coinbase with a Wells notice, signaling its intent to bring charges against the biggest and best-known US exchange. And, in true SEC style, the agency didn't actually specify what those charges might be, although Paul Grewal, Coinbase's chief legal officer, gave some details in a subsequent blog post. Quote, "Today's Wells notice does not provide a lot of information for us to respond to. The SEC staff told us they have identified potential violations of securities law, but little more. We asked the SEC specifically to identify which assets on our platforms they believe may be securities, and they declined to do so."
We're going to sue you, so get ready for some whoop-ass, Brian.
Oh, okay, Gary. What for, though?
That's
Not
great.
telling.
Oh, up yours, Baldy.
No, up yours, Baldy.
Side note, is it a coincidence that the SEC has fired this opening salvo in Coinbase's direction
that's
right
great.
at the point when, in conjunction with the Fed and other regulatory bodies, it's also actively working to debank the crypto industry in the United States? Coinbase may be well-resourced and, it would seem, up for the fight, but it's going to find a long battle in a US court a lot harder to fight if it can't get access to banking services. Let's hope its lawyers are up for being paid in crypto. Anyhow, let's go back to that phrase Paul used, potential violations of securities laws. It's pretty open-ended, but it does suggest that the SEC could well be going after Coinbase as part of its wider crusade against proof-of-stake
I want this mug. The mug he's got. It's awesome.
cryptocurrencies. You'll doubtless recall that SEC Chairman Gary Gensler suggested that proof-of-stake cryptos could be securities on the very day of Ethereum's merge last September. Gary has doubled down on this in recent weeks, and the SEC scored a significant victory on this front back in February when Kraken agreed to stop offering its staking services and pay a $30 million fine. I imagine the SEC's legal team has already earmarked those funds for the upcoming tussle with Coinbase, because remember, folks, when the lawsuits start flying, the real winners are always the lawyers. And indeed, the day after the Wells notice news broke, Coinbase announced via its help page that it would be moving to on-chain staking for a number of assets, meaning that customers would, quote, earn rewards from the protocol, not Coinbase. Coinbase acts only as a service provider connecting you, the validators, and the protocol. So, Coinbase is clearly starting to get its ducks in a row, although CryptoSlate speculated that this may have been in the works for a while now. Quote, "It is unclear whether the actions are related to the Wells notice that Coinbase has received from securities regulators. Statements from Coinbase today suggest that the changes were scheduled as early as March the 10th, prior to its receipt of that notice. It is possible that the changes were influenced by Coinbase's February warning that the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, intends to take action against retail staking products." Now, as you can no doubt imagine, the news of the SEC's move against Coinbase has been received about as well as the press release for Logan Paul's next NFT project. The war against crypto in the United States is dragging more and more entities into the maelstrom, and the SEC clearly isn't afraid of going after the big players. So, one inevitable question is, who's next? Will Ethereum be in the crosshairs once Shanghai goes live next month and unstaking becomes possible? Or will Gary and co. choose to go after another proof-of-stake crypto instead? However, today I want to ask another question, one that I'm sure a few of you may have been wondering yourselves. What if the SEC is successful in its arguments that most cryptos beside Bitcoin are securities? What if it wins its case against Ripple and gets the wind in its sails to go after other altcoins? Let's put aside questions around proof of stake for the time being. XRP isn't proof of stake crypto, remember? And instead assume that the SEC is able to successfully argue that the expectation of profit from investing in altcoins comes from the efforts of identifiable third parties. What happens then? Would it be the end of days for crypto in the USA? Or are we getting our panties in a twist over a great big nothing burger? So, with the help of Kevin, one of our research team here at Coin Bureau, I decided to find out. So let's assume the worst has happened. Gary's got his way and an altcoin has been officially
cool looking,
designated
actually.
as a security.
Good on him. Oh,
now,
sorry,
I
guys.
suppose I could use a particular crypto as an example here, but I know that if I do, then that particular coin or token's community will get all upset and accuse me of fudding their beloved project and basically being, well, the devil incarnate. And life really is too short. So let's create a fictional crypto by way of an example. Let's call it Guycoin, ticker GUY, and say it's issued by
His
Guy
name's
Technologies,
Guy,
a for-profit
obviously.
company based in the US, and its development is overseen by the Guy Foundation, a non-profit based in Switzerland. Okay. Guy Technologies loses its court battle with the SEC. Guy is designated a security, and so Guy Technologies is on the hook for selling it as an unregistered security. What happens next? Well, 3 sets of stakeholders are directly impacted. The issuer, Guy Technologies, the exchanges selling the coin, those based in the US that is, and those people who bought Guycoin. Now, you might imagine that the first thing that would happen would be Guycoin being delisted from all US exchanges. Though, as we saw when the SEC sued Ripple back in 2020, XRP was delisted right away. It has subsequently been relisted by some, but it's still not nearly as accessible to US-based investors as it once was. We can assume that in this example, Guycoin has already been delisted and is not available to our friends in the land of the free. Obviously, Guycoin's price has been down bad ever since and will likely have taken another beating on the SEC's win against Guy Technologies. So, as you can imagine, Guy Technologies' first order of business is to raid the piggy bank to pay an absolutely eye-watering fine to the SEC for selling Guycoin as an unregistered security. As in tens, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars.
Kind of like how Kraken got hit with 30 million for the staking BS.
Doesn't end there. Guy Technologies will now have to make a choice. Accept that Guycoin cannot be sold to US investors, continue selling it as an unregistered security, or jump through the necessary hoops to make it available as a registered security instead. It's a tough call. Obviously, option 1 is not ideal. The US is the world's largest market for cryptocurrencies, and so being cut off from that market is going to choke off a big source of funding.
And again, it's going to leave us behind because when people start going to other countries and start doing the development over there, we're going to be left in the dust. I mean, it's just inevitable.
Sure, the world is a lot bigger than just the United States, but maybe not big enough, especially when it comes to crypto. Well, yet. Option 2 isn't great either. Unregistered securities are subject to strict limitations on whom they can be sold to. Typically, it's only so-called accredited investors who are able to buy unregistered securities. That is, rich people and institutions. That cuts out regular retail investors, although that may not be an issue if Guy Technologies feels it can survive from selling Guy to a smaller pool of rich folks. But would those rich folks be so willing to buy an asset that probably wouldn't have a particularly liquid market and was tainted by the publicity surrounding the court case, etc.? It's not as much fun for accredited investors if they can't dump their coins on retail just before the price crashes now, is it? There can also be limits imposed on how much capital can be raised via the selling of unregistered securities. So, again, not ideal. So, registered security it is then. But this involves enough paperwork to turn Wernham Hogg into a FTSE 100 company. That's Dunder Mifflin and the S&P 500 if you're an American. If you don't get the reference, you sure have a lot of great TV to catch up on.
Gross.
Okay. Selling registered securities doesn't come with anything like the same restrictions as unregistered ones, but boy, does that freedom have to be earned. The SEC will demand documentation in droves, token subscription agreements, disclosures, proof of compliance with KYC and AML procedures,
100%.
company information, information on the asset itself, copies of publicity and other investor-facing materials, articles of incorporation, contracts, underwriting information, and so on and so on.
Real quick, I just want to say thank you to this guy for this video. He breaks this down incredibly. So guys, if you're not subscribed to Coin Bureau, go check them out. I'll leave a link down in the description below.
In other words, the sort of paperwork that makes filing your tax return seem as straightforward as opening your phone with your face. Expensive, time-consuming, labor-intensive paperwork that better all be in order, or Guy Technologies will be writing the SEC more checks before they know it. So, that's what will be required of the issuer. How about those exchanges, though? Yep, you guessed it, more paperwork. Unsurprisingly, issuing securities is a pain in the backside, and so too is selling them. Assuming Guy Technologies registers Guycoin as a security, the baton of paperwork pain will then get passed on to any exchange wanting to sell it. So let's say...
Actually, do any of you guys know, do they have an actual, I guess, structure of what they need to fill out for this registered security BS? Because I know they didn't, and now they're claiming maybe they do. I don't know. But I'm assuming it's a lot of paperwork either way.
Coinbase decides to forge ahead. In order to sell securities, it will have to apply for a broker-dealer license or similar capital markets license for whichever jurisdiction it wants to operate under. Regulatory jurisdictions in the US include our friend the SEC, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, and the regulator in every single state. Side note, this is why US exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, and Gemini are often at pains to point out how many licenses they hold just to operate as they do in the United States. And that's a big part of why their trading fees tend to be higher than those of non-US exchanges. Well,
if you look also too, right, the more bullshit that they put on exchanges, they're not going to want to be here. So I think that's realistically what they're trying to do. They're just trying to push them out of the US. But I don't know. The dollar is going to lose either way. With or without crypto, the dollar is going to complete shit. Like, that's just the truth.
Have to collectively spend tens of millions of dollars a year just making sure they have the right pieces of paper, and lots of pieces of paper at that. Now, these extra licenses an exchange would need to sell Guycoin as a security do not come cheap, and the process of registering and applying for them would again be tedious, lengthy, and costly. Reams of information about the exchange, its products, ownership structure, personnel, finances, risk management processes, rules and procedures, and on and on and on until the will to live disappears completely. There would be yet more regulatory oversight involved and countless hoops of compliance through which to jump. But no license, no dice. So the exchange is then left with a question. Is Guycoin, now classified as a security, likely to generate enough interest and therefore trading fees to make it worth the hassle and expense of applying for and maintaining all those additional licenses? The answer is that Guycoin on its own probably isn't. If, however, more cryptos are likely to be labeled as securities in the wake of Guycoin, then the case for getting the paperwork done becomes stronger. And of course, if one exchange decides to pull the trigger, its rivals are going to have to consider doing so as well for fear of getting left behind and handing their competitors an advantage. Which brings us to the final set of stakeholders impacted by Guycoin's security designation, the good old Guycoin hodlers themselves, the Guy Brigade, Guy Grenadiers, whatever they've called themselves. What does all this mean for them?
Anybody's just joining, he made up a cryptocurrency to talk about it in this video.
Guy's delisting from US exchanges will have already devalued their stack, and so anyone who bought before the SEC came a-knocking will have already suffered a fair bit. They will have to hope that some US exchange bites the bullet and applies for those securities licenses. But even if that happens, it could be a while before those licenses get issued. But wait, the SEC is all about protecting investors, right? It is on the side of the average Joe, the chap who bought a bit of Guycoin way back when and just wants to make a bit back on his investment. Well, see, here's the kicker. Even some registered securities, such as mutual funds and ETFs, can on occasion be subject to limitations on who can invest in them. Yep, we're back to accredited investors again, those folks who are rich enough to be allowed to further enrich themselves. Because we can't have any old Tom, Dick or Harriet making a bit of extra money from risky investments now, can we? They aren't nearly wealthy enough to make wise investment decisions or entrust their money to someone like that nice Mr. Madoff to invest it for them. Let's just keep them out of the playground altogether for their own protection. Now, this isn't to say that the sale of Guycoin would necessarily be restricted to accredited investors were it deemed a security, but given all that we've seen of the SEC's attitude towards crypto over the last few years, would you rule it out? If you would, you're way more of an optimist than I am, that's for sure. Okay, let's start summing things up. If a crypto asset were to be deemed a security in the United States, the upshot would be, in the short term at any rate, a lot of pain. Pain for the 100%. Issuer, pain for the exchanges, and pain for investors. However, that's not to say that it would be the end of the line, especially if, as is likely, more and more cryptos fall into the securities bucket as a result of the precedent that has now been set. There is strength in numbers after all, and as issuers and exchanges plough through the paperwork, perhaps we could get closer to a world where crypto is able to exist under the watchful eye of the SEC, and the ludicrous system of regulation by enforcement that we're seeing today could become a thing of the past. Assuming investor protection isn't taken too far, and assuming some sensible pro-crypto regulations do eventually get passed in the United States, then it's not impossible to imagine a future where crypto is allowed to exist and evolve in a way that's agreeable to most parties. It's not all sunshine and roses, of course. Smaller crypto projects and exchanges could find it even harder to survive and thrive when it becomes necessary to devote sizable chunks of their workforces to merely staying compliant. It's also hard to see how decentralization is possible in such an environment. If Gary Gensler succeeds in his quest to regulate crypto to his liking, then there's a real danger it could end up as just another arm of the existing financial system. No thanks. All of which just goes to underscore how consequential the times we're living in are. What happens with the SEC versus Ripple, and the SEC versus Coinbase, and the SEC versus whoever else Gary has his death ray pointed at, it's all going to have far-reaching consequences for crypto. Perhaps Coinbase will prove a bridge too far for the SEC, or perhaps the agency is only just getting started. But for the wider crypto industry, particularly those projects out there building away like mad, forewarned is forearmed, and the best weapon to have in your armory is decentralization. Ethereum will ultimately survive, even if the SEC goes after it, because it has made efforts to decentralize over time. Bitcoin, well, is Bitcoin. Every other crypto out there won't be safe, though, until it has decentralized sufficiently to make it impossible to prove where any expectation of profit is coming from. Some won't, and they may not survive. Now, with luck, what we'll end up with is a crypto industry where only the best and most decentralized projects survive, and where all the crap never gets a chance to rise to the surface. We are a long way from that point right now, but we're going to have to try and get there ASAP, because the alternative is not a place we want to end up in.
Gonna be terrible. Huge shout out to Coin Bureau for that video. Amazing. My man Guy, his name's Guy. That's why he made up Guy Token, and he said he didn't want to offend anybody by naming certain coins during his little conversation he was having. So I don't know if a lot of you guys have heard about this, right? This is the Restrict Act from Congress, right? Or the one they're trying to pass, or they're going to put forth to pass, right? This is, it says S.686. It's the Restrict Act, right? Restrict Act, right? This is the one that they're trying to ban TikTok with, and they're also trying to what's it called? Ban VPNs. So like if you're accessing, say, a crypto exchange overseas you're not supposed to use here in the US, they could give you friggin' like $200,000 in fines or up to like 20 years in jail. It's friggin' absolutely insane. I don't think this is gonna pass. I think it's just gonna get pushed out. And then actually Geek of All Trades made a good point. He said they're gonna push this forth, right? Once it gets kicked out, the next thing that they bring to the table is not going to look as bad, because this is absolutely terrifying and horrible, right, for everybody. So I don't understand how they can control VPNs and have access to all your network. I'm sure they have bigger fish to fry other than us, but you know what I mean? Just in general, like the home user, it's terrifying to think about, right? So I'm going to put the Restrict Act bill in the live chat. If you guys are interested, feel free to go check it out. It's a long read. So anyways, all right. What else did I want to say? Oh, I think that's it, actually. I think that's really it. This, Tornado Cash thing. I was looking this up on the side while we were listening to that. So Tornado Cash, it says U.S. Treasury sanctions notorious virtual currency mixer Tornado Cash. So this is the whole article on it. What I'll do is I'll read through this and try to figure out what is going on with it. I didn't have a chance to read this, obviously, but I'm not going to read it now. My throat's killing me. So either way, I'll put this in the chat as well. If you guys are interested, go check it out. I'll leave it in the description below after the video as well. But either way, we're going to be getting out of here in a few minutes, and I'll be back today at 2 o'clock. We'll go over the ASIC deals of the week, find the most or cheapest company to buy ASICs from, and I'll just try to find out what you guys want to use. So again, there's a poll in the chat. Also, I'm going to end this. It says, if you wanted to buy something illegal, what would you use? Crypto, cash, or see results? So 12% said see results, 23% said crypto, and 65% said cash. Interesting. 23%. That's higher than I thought it was going to be, actually. So the only issue with that is, like I said, the analogy I made a little earlier, this trying to track down a US dollar that goes from me to said person, right? I have no idea what that guy spent the money on next, unless we're both reporting these transactions, right? On the blockchain, you can jump through the wallets on the chain and find out where it came from and where it went. You know what I mean? Mostly, for the most part. I mean, XMRs, obviously, you can't really pain in the ass to track, right? That's kind of why it came up. But Bitcoin, coins like that, you can pretty much trace all around. But that's kind of the reason they went after Tornado Cash, because it's a mixer to hide money. It's basically throwing Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, into a wash machine, mixing it up so you can't see where it's going, where it's coming from, like hundreds of transactions, and then, oh, you know what I mean? So whatever. Dollars have serial numbers. Yeah, but when you go to the bank, you ask for like, say a stack of hundreds, right? Like, oh, I need $1,000. They just pull them out of the draw, man. They ain't like scanning the serial numbers. You know what I mean? It's just, it's such a freaking stupid argument. I don't understand it. I mean, I wish they would just get on board with it, but it is what it is. Can't stop it. Anyways, hopefully you guys have a good Friday. We're going to end it off properly with this guy. Oh man, the HODL gang. Come on, tell me you guys, everybody's seen this. Everybody knows what this is. This is the old Silk Road HODL gang rap from Mr. Chris Records, and it's amazing, and I absolutely love it. And I love you guys, and I hope you have a good Friday. So let's get on this, and I'll see you guys later on today at 2 p.m. Have a good one. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace, peace.
Yeah, I wish I could roll back time to that old Silk Road. I wanna hold till I can't no more. I'm gonna add crypto to my portfolio. I wanna hold till I can't no more. I got my crypto coming back soon. I'm back in the black too. Suck here in the bag. Now I'm feeling like a tycoon. Riding on a Lambo. You can live with FOMO. I've been through the dips. When it's low, I was buying more. Now I got my money on the blockchain. HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang. Can't nobody stop my campaign. HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang. I'ma buy some Bitcoin, hold it like the big boys. Ride it to the moon on my Lambo or my Rolls Royce. Now I got these altcoins, they don't make the big noise, but they make the big rips. Call me crypto cowboy. Now I got my money on the blockchain. HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang. Can't nobody stop my campaign. HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang. Yeah, wish I could roll back time to that old Silk Road. I wanna hold till I can't no more. I'm gonna add crypto to my portfolio. I wanna hold till I can't no more. Backyard garage, solar powered area. Spend a lot of money trying to mine that Ethereum. Boy, I got a habit, I'ma bounce right back. And I'm addicted, I become a cryptomaniac. You see, I got no stocks and I got no gold. I'm all in, all I do is I buy crypto. Wish I could roll back time to that old Silk Road. I wanna hold till I can't no more. Wish I could roll back time to that old Silk Road. I wanna hold till I can't no more. I'm gonna add crypto to my portfolio. I wanna hold till I can't no more.
Happy Friday, guys. See you soon. Hit that like on the way out, please. Appreciate you.